This is David Jennings, director of the New Mexico DIY filmmaking documentary called Dust Don't Settle, and this is the Dust Don't Settle podcast. We're going to be talking all about news in the New Mexico indie film world. We're going to be talking about the industry, how we feel about it, what's on our minds, and everything in between. But for the most part, we're going to be talking a lot about the things that we cover in Dust Don't Settle, the documentary, and some more that we can't cover for many, many reasons. This is going to be a long-running podcast, and I'm really excited to share it with everyone. So each episode is going to be myself and my producer and good friend Alonso, and, we'll have guests and everything like that. You're going to hear us getting mad about stuff. You're probably going to get mad with us. You're probably going to get mad at us, but rest assured, you're probably going to get mad. So this is the first episode that we kind of threw together last minute, so we're talking about Dustwave, the film collective that we're both in. We're talking about New Mexico, the spirit of creativity here, and a lot of other stuff. It's a lot of fun, and it's a little bit more low-key. Next time, we'll have a little bit more production value going into it. We shot at Studio 519, so we have video and much cleaner audio, and we're talking with our good friend Keith, who is, in my mind, a pillar of this indie film community. So sit back. Like I said, you're going to get mad, but we are too, so try and survive, because we barely do. Dust don't settle.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff.
Let's start one place. Let's start somewhere.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think New Mexico is a good place to start, right? I mean, because you and I, we both came in from various places, obviously, but both of us lived like a long time on the East Coast of the United States. And I don't know. I mean, there is a different mentality out here than out there, but I mean, I don't know that I've seen a place that deals with this artistic feeling quite like New Mexico.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was reflecting on that this past weekend. I was up in Taos for our gallery show, Life After Dead Air, which went great. And what was interesting is how we were received up there, which was like amazing, right? We had the support of different organizations over there, so that's always good. You're just not just from out of town and just showing up. But for example, we went to this gallery space called the Atelier, and it was incredible. There's no space like it in Albuquerque. And we're talking about a town like Taos. I don't know how many people. It's like 20,000 people, maybe, probably 10,000 people. I don't know. Incredible space. Immediately, I was thinking, man, we got to do a show there. Like, we got to figure something out. Like, because it's just really beautiful space. I mean, they had like a video presentation going on in the upstairs part of the space. Super high ceilings, enormous screen, great sound, and they had a projector that is probably a six-figure projector. And there was just, I was like so blown away. And but you would never. I don't think people down here don't know what's going on, and also the kind of stuff we were doing up there, I don't think they really have, because I've always felt like our aesthetic is like kind of this mix of low art and high art, and I don't know, for me, like I've always like appreciated. I mean that's always been my personal aesthetic, like the kind of high concept, sort of highfalutin intellectual components and pieces of high art with the sort of crudeness and not take yourself too seriously and be able to have a laugh and be able to show to people that can to like everyday people that they can understand and take something from it, of so-called low art or whatever. Like that's always been my kind of personal. So to see us bring our stuff there, in that way. Um, and to see it like so well received, and it really made me understand like this. Number one, the state is big. You know, it's not just Albuquerque and Santa Fe. You know, I was in Cruces like a couple weeks before that. They got also something else going on over there. Not the same over here. Uh, Actually, in Cruces, you know, I think it's the second largest city in New Mexico. I think it's bigger than Santa Fe, but it's much more united. Like everyone went out to support that film festival.
Well, Cruces is a little bit more of a it's like way more of a working class town than Santa Fe too, right?
Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, yes and no. I mean, there's not like a lot of people go there to retire, kind of like Santa Fe. It's not as expensive as Santa Fe, close to El Paso. Um, but the university's there, New Mexico State's there. So it's a little different. It's not quite like I would say we what when you know, like to me, if I think about working class New Mexican towns and cities, I'm thinking of Gallup. I'm thinking, you know, of Farmington. I'm thinking of Hobbs and places like that, right? I'm not so much thinking of Cruces,
Yeah, it's
but
compared to Santa Fe, but yeah,
compared to Santa Fe, yeah, I suppose. I mean, I just think like down there, they're really good at being aligned. Like they're really, really good at being aligned and being strategic in a way that Albuquerque is not, in a way that Santa Fe is not.
yeah. Well, you were talking about like the Las Cruces Festival is put on basically by one professor at it's UNM or is it
No, it's New
CNA?
Mexico State.
Yeah, New Mexico State.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's basically one professor and the students who kind of run that festival,
that's
right?
right. And that's really cool. And why are we doing that in Albuquerque with two major universities with film programs?
Yeah, which I mean, at least for the time being, no real major festivals in Albuquerque that are long running and
Yeah, no.
have any kind of weight to them, really.
Right. And that's why isn't that it just seems like such a win. We're a film town. It just seems like it's so obvious, but you know, the silos, the and territorialism, you know, it's like I love Albuquerque and most people aren't really involved with that, but our elites, that's all they do. So you have to kind of work around them
Yeah.
and work between them, you know, and then here and there, like pick and choose your battles and like work with them sometimes, but retain your independence. It's like really a different vibe. Whereas in like Taos, like I am sure there are local beefs and silos and this person that doesn't work with this person. I'm sure there's that. All I can tell you is the way we were received. I didn't feel any of that. I didn't feel any of that at all. And then, you know, like I said, in Cruces, that festival, the award ceremony, the mayor of Cruces was there. He gave an award to the mayor of Mesilla, which is the city next to Cruces, like the sister city of Cruces, basically, um, for supporting the festival. Um, like you said, the students, you know, run the festival. The students get a huge win because they get the experience of organizing something like that, which is like you can't really pay for and you can't really teach unless you do it. Um, the students get to meet New Mexico filmmakers. The students get to meet some Hollywood folks that show up. Um, the New Mexico filmmakers get to meet the students. They get to meet the Hollywood royalty. Um, the students, some of the students that have graduated that program have gone on to be independent filmmakers, and those folks are supported by the festival. And then I got to meet a bunch of those folks. So it's just such a win. Why can't we do that in Albuquerque? Open question.
Yeah,
And
well, I mean, because there's you gotta imagine too that like I mean, you know, politics aside, some particular mayors of Albuquerque can sometimes kind of flounder on the fence of like talking the talk and walking the walk in terms of supporting the arts. And people are going to have different opinions about what the mayor does to actually do that. But it seems to me like finding a way to bring at least one major festival to Albuquerque seems like something that would be like a slam dunk.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is, part of it is, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, like, okay, like, you talk about this mayor, and, I think this mayor overall, I would say, has a decent track record of supporting the arts in a way that some previous mayors have not.
Right.
Um, but I think the problem is what I don't see is the strategic investments that aren't going to result in a press conference or a blue ribbon, like, whatever, cutting ceremony or ribbon cutting ceremony or whatever it is, but will just pay off over time because the infrastructure is being built. That's what I don't see. And that is just a lack of vision. And frankly, that's just the problem with American politics generally, is especially on what I say our side is, which uh, broad was a very broad term, but right, like the lack of vision. Um, and the unfortunate reality is our elites are not trained to have vision. And so, like, people that have vision and people that plant seeds and people that build infrastructure and it doesn't show results immediately, um, they just have to be incredibly strong, incredibly persistent, and not want to die at some point, like, and just keep going. And those people are hard to find.
Yeah. No,
And,
very.
and I don't blame people when they're like, screw this, I am done, I'm out, it's over. You know, I don't blame people. It's really, really hard mentally. It's really hard physically. Um, that, but that's just, you know, uh, that's not just New Mexico. That's not just Albuquerque. Um, that's all over the country. But to go back to your original question, what I see is the double-edged sword in New Mexico of, on the unfortunate side, provincialism, tribalism, scarcity mentality. I see that. On the other side, I also see a freedom and an openness if you just ignore them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the tribalism, that stuff is everywhere,
It
right?
is.
Like,
It is.
but I do think the scarcity mentality is something that is much more prevalent here than in
Yeah.
other places. I mean, and it gets to this kind of higher concept of something that I've been a little bit obsessed with, largely since I moved here. But like, there is like a spirituality to the desert that I think is so fascinating,
Mhm.
and I don't know, there is something that is just tied to living here your entire life or even moving here, that you feel the scarcity of it. You feel that, need to protect your resources as much as possible. And in some ways it does make artists, I think, I don't know. It's weird because like there is that level of creative freedom here that is very well fostered, but there's also like a shelteredness to it that I've seen that like comes in, in general, it's like the higher up you get as an artist here.
Right. Right. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Uh, it's also known as crab mentality, right? I mean, you know, here's the interesting thing. Dustwave has haters. That's just the facts. Um, and we have haters for different reasons. Yeah, I'm not gonna say like all the haters' criticisms are like completely like not valid, but I do know that because we've built something that's special, and because we've output a lot, because we've raised money, and because we've won grants, um, there are a lot of people that are jealous. Same thing happened to me when we were building our consulting company. It's a lot of jealousy. Now, some people know how to deal with that, and some people don't. And what I've noticed is that, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, there's a lot of people that it's much harder to build things than destroy things. It's so easy to throw rocks, so easy. And it causes so much damage, and then you feel power. And so it's kind of this like sort of cycle, as a sort of reward cycle, right? You get the juice, off of throwing stones, and then you keep going, right? It sort of fuels itself. I see that a lot in New Mexico. I see that a lot in New Mexico. Like I give you an example, and maybe I'm a little bit guilty of this too, right? Like I remember when Meow Wolf started like popping off, right? The House of the Eternal Return and stuff like that, right? Um, Now I've heard a lot about Meow Wolf from a lot of different people, right? It's I know people that work there. I've known people that used to work there. Had all sorts of ranges of experience. I know a little bit about the story of how they were founded and created. I know what their relationship was like to the existing Santa Fe scene. I know that they raised a whole lot of money. I know that they've expanded. I know that they've become more corporate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. I know a lot about the journey, and there's maybe things that I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, I think because, we have some people that we're close to that worked there or, maybe still do, like, I think there is a little bit of an inside track that we have that, not the general public certainly doesn't have, right?
Right, right. And I would even add to this, right? It's like just like, okay, well, with Dust Wave specifically, right? It's hard not to look at something like Meow Wolf when we think about our journey, right? Just as like some sort of parallel. Not that we haven't raised $150 million or any of that stuff, but just as a kind of parallel sort of journey, right? Um, but here I have two thoughts that exist at the same time. One is, yeah, that it changed, right? It changed from when it started. It changed from when I first heard about it. It it did, and maybe not all those changes were good. In fact, I know a lot of those changes weren't good. For the people that work there, for the founders, maybe even for the people that visit, right? Also, also, they brought a lot of money and they employed a lot of working artists there. Okay,
A lot of artists.
a lot. And it's the easiest thing to throw rocks at them. It's the easiest thing in the world. Oh, they're not what they used to be, this, that, whatever. And I've heard stuff like that too. I've heard stuff like that too from people that have no interest in making it better, no interest in doing their own thing and building something responding to that or trying to learn lessons from them. Only excited to see somebody or something go down. I don't know. I really try to check myself when I'm going there. And I think that's not the way. That's not the way. And it doesn't mean I have to agree with everything they do or what they become or any of that stuff, but I'm not a crab mentality person, and I never will be.
Yeah, well, I mean, and to that point too, I mean, like, as an art collective, Dustwave, it has to really not like compare itself to Meow Wolf, but it has to learn the lessons, the good and the bad. And that doesn't mean that, it's not going to make its own mistakes, doesn't mean that it's going to, be some perfect idealistic version of what Meow Wolf was supposed to be or whatever, anything like that. But like, it's anything you have to learn from who came before. You have to figure out what makes you individual. And I mean, I remember like that was something that we talked about when we first started doing this doc, and we watched the Meow Wolf documentary, and I was immediately like, there's so many thoughts running through my head about how to make a documentary the right way, how to maintain your, independence when you're doing that, how to grow an art collective, how to be an art collective, like all of that stuff just flooded. And it's something too that, like, there's a lot of art collectives up in Santa Fe and Taos too. Um, and they are different, very different from Dustwave. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, obviously they're not all of them or almost any of them are trying to do film, but even in downtown Albuquerque or Old Town, where there's you know 6 or 7 different galleries that are all mostly artist collectives, like they are so different from the model that Dustwave is trying to
I
do.
mean, yeah, and I think about like impact and I think about like community. I think about those things, right? And I think for a lot of people in our present context, they think about community as tribes. And they think about, and they think that these things are like, they maybe don't know it, but I think they default to thinking about these things as tribalist activities. Oh, like we need to have a space that's for us and not for anybody else. And not for anybody else. And I think that if you're really truly about impact and about the world, right? And you're truly into suppressing your own ego, right? You're not going to try to build another tribe. And so in that way, I see a fundamental difference, right? And it creates problems for us.
Yeah,
Uh
no, actively, yeah.
yeah, it creates problems for us. But like that's just like kind of an ideological sort of conceit that I have to be part of. And whatever I'm part of can't be an exercise in creating yet another tribe. So like fundamentally I feel like that is a big difference. And I think another big difference is um because a lot of us are outsiders to the art world. Um I think a lot of us don't take ourselves so seriously, and the art we produce, we don't take it so it doesn't take itself as seriously, and that is to our great benefit. That is to our great benefit. And it's not that we can't make serious pieces of art. It's just that we I think we allow humor and joy to kind of penetrate the things that we do all the time. And see I don't see that as a negative. I don't see that as, well, we won't be taken seriously. Um, the people that don't take us seriously because of that stuff don't matter. So, I mean, for me, again, like that's another fundamental thing I see, right? I see other art collectives, and it's just like a very like oh I'm elevated sense of self, and then elevated sense of, oh, the artwork has to reach to some sort of heights where they end up being cold, they end up being stale, um and they end up being fearful.
And some of them are going to play real well in festivals.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And again, I'm not trying to sling shit at people. I mean, but I see a lot of films at some of these festivals, and they're just either they pander to whatever like kind of the politics of the time are very explicitly. So either they do that, or they pander, like sometimes in New Mexico, they pander to New Mexico, right? So they pander to that, or they pander to some sort of like fashionable cause, or they pander to um the audience's like kind of art house film instincts. It's crazy because like I think that at least films that I've been a part of with Dustwave, I mean for me like there's always been the ambition of an art house aesthetic, right? A sophisticated, interesting, creative, intentional aesthetic, right? But if we can't laugh within that, like what are we doing? You know? I don't want to be like those kind of people. They seem miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, and I think about it a lot because there is a balance, I think, that we as artists have to try to find, right? Where it's like taking the work seriously enough to know when not to compromise, but also not taking it so seriously that you're heartbroken when you're not getting into like the Santa Fe International Film Festival or things like that. Like because that's you know, you have to be doing the work, I think, for the sake of the work. At least that's my personal philosophy. But I have the benefit of being someone who has made a living and makes, continues to make a decent living producing documentary content.
Yeah.
And I use the word content because I don't necessarily consider everything that I do high art for that.
Right.
But it does enable me to do things that are more artistic.
Right.
And that's a luxury that I have as a person
Yeah.
and an artist.
Yeah.
And that's not something that everybody has, and some people have to be in that pursuit of getting into those festivals, getting their name out there. And I think that, for what it's worth, again, I come from a place of privilege, but the festival scene is not the thing that's going to get you noticed or whatever.
Yeah, I
But
think the festival circuit is good for networking, and that's it. That's actually it. And I mean, maybe it was maybe 10 years ago things were different, or 20 or 30, whatever. Yeah, I'm sure. But right now, that's what it's good for, to meet other filmmakers. We went to Santa Fe, met other filmmakers. It was great. Worked with other people that I met, made friends. We share notes. That's cool. Don't regret that for a second. Don't regret that for a second. Um, but I'm not I'm not, as the great Mark Duplass says, I'm not waiting for the cavalry. And what we have to do to have a chance is build our own infrastructure that exists outside of the festival circuit. It exists outside of traditional means of distribution. It exists outside of probably like the big social media platforms. Like we have to build resilient things that are us. And I don't know. You can't depend on all these things. Is there going to be a festival circuit as we know it in 10 years? I don't know. Are all these social media platforms going to fall for different reasons? I don't know. I mean, there's like a new one that comes out every year that you're supposed to be on or whatever, right? Like, um, are the streamers, like the way the streamers work, they're already consolidating. Is that going to be around too much longer? It's almost not a path anymore for your average independent filmmaker to get their stuff out there anyway. Are the studios going to be around in the way that they're around right now? I know that, for example, Disney has cut a lot of funding to a lot of the stuff they make because they need more money to put on something that's reliably profitable, which is live sports,
yeah,
right? So, what?
which
So,
that gets to the problem of monopolization and all that. But like, it's a product of the industry where at one point in at least the US, cinema was one of, if not the top form of entertainment, because you didn't have live broadcast, sports really. You didn't have even like really accessible TV, at least back in, the quote golden age of Hollywood. But like, that's changed in so many fundamental ways, which is weird because the art, I think, has largely elevated itself based on what we can do, but what we can do is not as profitable for the studios. And I don't know, it's just kind of like I don't know, when does it break? What can break it, if anything?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know the answer to that, and I think it's a fool's pursuit, a fool's errand uh, to guess. I mean, you can have educated guesses and you can prepare, but I don't, you can't know these things. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Any number of things that happen tomorrow that could affect everything. All I'm saying is let's build resilient systems that preserve our independence and allow us to do things on our terms. That's what I'm saying. And I think Dustwave is just it's an encapsulation of that idea. Some people don't like that. Like some people, like they think, I've heard this from people, they think that that's not part of the art. It's not the art. Therefore, it's not worth doing. And I so very much disagree. This is actually part of the art. It's actually part of the creative process. And the people that remove those pieces, I think, are delusional. And I don't think yeah, I'm not really there. they believe in, they have ideology that is counterproductive and uninteresting to me. So again, like I keep coming back to this idea of DIY, right? I think DIY has been, it's been co-opted in a lot of different ways. But I think it was my wife, I think it was Katie, that came up with, at some point I was like writing something and she was like, you should call what you guys do DIY filmmaking, right? Instead of like independent filmmaking, right? Because there's this other level at which we operate, right? Because independent filmmaking, you can still have, I mean, I don't know, Anora, yeah, that movie won the Oscar, right? Not this last time, but the time before, right? That was a $6 million movie. Everyone's calling it an indie, even though it had the backing of A24. I mean, I guess, yeah, traditional studio didn't fund it. $6 million. We don't do that stuff. By the way, love the movie, love the filmmaker, love the performers. It's a great movie. Like, highly recommend. It's a great movie. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of depth and for me, I watched it, was really moved. But we don't do what they do. I mean, that's okay. So what is it that we do? I think it's DIY filmmaking, it's DIY art. And um yeah, there's struggle, but there's also joy. I mean, I gotta tell you, like when we went up to Taos to do our show, I know every single one of those pieces was built.
Yeah. Which is really like that's something. I mean, and it was the same for when, we brought it up for Paseo last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had two pieces there, and all of that was done by artists. And that's just, I don't know,
With our
that's,
hands together, collaboratively.
yeah.
Uh, I don't, yeah. I mean, for me, it's
Without
just,
the promise of it being something that, you're going to get discovered or you're going to make a bunch of money doing it. Like, you just do it for the love.
it was it was joyous. I mean, of course, you want to make people happy, and the director of Sarah, the director of the Taos Center for the Arts, we were deinstalling, and she came up to me and she was like, "We're really gonna miss the tower." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, thank you." And she was like, "It was just here for like 4 days, and you just would walk out into the lobby, into the gallery area, and you would just hear a new thing every time." And it was and it was cool. It was cool to see, and it was cool to know that all that stuff came from Albuquerque, came from independent filmmakers, and it was just an imposing sort of presence, but in a positive way. It was like kind of radiated joy, which was the whole point of that piece.
And because it was done with that level of care and love and by hand, you got to imagine that if things work out for the festival and they want to keep it going, like, I see no reason why they wouldn't be calling again to say, like, hey, what's next? What do you want to do next year? Right.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the spirit of it too. Like, that's
Yes.
what it means. Like, when you are keeping your community close knit and doing it at that level, it's,
Yeah. And we couldn't have done it without them, and we couldn't have done it without the Paseo Project. And the people at the Paseo Project, Matt and Nina especially, they believed in us. Like, we had only worked with them that one time in their festival, and they believed in us to write us a check to come out there. Like, and I was talking to Adrian, and he was like, for a lot of artists, that's a huge milestone career goal to be shown at that space, at that gallery. Um, and most people do it for free. Right? So again, and whatever, but at the end of the day, we made it with our hands. We made it with our hands, and it radiated what we are about. And for me, that doesn't happen overnight. It happens building community partnerships. It happens by building our own infrastructure. It happens, by artists making like beautiful things and taking the time to do them. It's I don't know. It's a special thing. It's a special, special thing. Um, so again, I want to say, I don't know. This is good. This is a little good piece of audio right here. I want to say to the haters, the scarcity mentality people, the crab mentality people, all those people, um, you don't count. We're gonna keep going, and we're gonna keep going not out of spite and not out of resentment, but out of joy. Out of joy.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
There's nothing else.
also, like, I just kind of want to add to that sentiment. We hear your criticism. Some of it we do agree with, and some of it we are working to fix.
Sure. Absolutely.
But it will never stop us from doing what we're doing.
Never. Never. And at the end of the day, like, it doesn't even matter. What we've already achieved is hard to argue with. If it all stopped tomorrow, I know from an impact perspective, what we've achieved is going to be very difficult to measure. It's going to be very difficult to measure, not just for me and not just for the co-founders and not just for everyone that's ever been on our sets or been part of our projects or touched any piece of us. Yeah, it's gonna have a big, it all has already had a huge impact. And so in some ways, it's like I feel like we're operating with like house money. I never would have thought it would have evolved to whatever this is. Never, not in a million years. I just thought, okay, we'll have this little thing and we'll be able to make our own stuff. Never did I think it could get to where it's gotten. And we're not, I mean, from an ambition standpoint, from my viewpoint, we're not remotely close, but also we're a lot farther than I thought we would ever get.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I think I think this is a good kind of spring point for what I want to talk about next time, which is I want to dig into the industry, specifically in New Mexico, but how we fit into it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with, some people who are part of the crew who have had in the past, full-time union work. Maybe they don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, my first answer is what industry?
right.
I don't.
Like what I discovered was there is filmmaking, there is art happening here.
Yeah.
It's just not where you think it is. And it's
Yeah.
not by the people that you think it is. It's
Yeah.
not on Netflix lots.
I appreciate leaders that are straight up about the challenges, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate folks that are straight up about the challenges. And I feel like our leaders are forced to release a report about the state of the industry every year where you have to really dig deep and look at the numbers to understand the scale of what's happened, right? But they're not coming out with it. They're not, even, man, I was just at a panel in Taos and they're like, oh yeah, we've had some slowdown. And it's like, no, you're not just, this is not slowdown.
Right.
This was an apocalyptic event that happened.
We could talk hard numbers.
Yeah.
We've seen the hard numbers.
This is an apocalyptic event that happened last year. So, and I think, I don't know what's the goal of not addressing it head on.
Yeah.
Right. Who's that serving? Like, is it scaring off productions from out of state because there's less productions out here? I don't know how that scares people off. If anything, if I was an out-of-state production, I would want to come here because there's probably even more opportunities to take advantage of, and there's more hungry crew.
Yeah.
So I don't know who they're speaking to in that way. I have no idea because I know that that's nonsense. And then I think people that work in the industry feel it in their paychecks and their lack of paychecks and the lack of work. So I have no idea who that serves. And it's incredibly frustrating, but I've talked to our leaders about, hey, if we don't build an infrastructure that's resilient for us here, we'll always be subject to the ups and downs of the industry, especially the downs. And that infrastructure that we've invested in for so long of below the line, quote unquote, talent here that can hop on productions and do a good job, it will fade away.
Yeah.
It's already starting to. And, we can't race to the bottom. We can't race to the bottom with everyone else. We need to have our own stuff. But do our elites have the vision and the belief in people here? Another critical component.
Yeah.
Right now, I am not seeing it. Right now, everything that they do is to attract out of state to come here and spend money, which is not a bad thing. That's good. That's good. But it's not, it's the less visionary play.
Yeah.
It's the less visionary play. There's no article that you can put out saying, there's no ribbon cutting ceremony. There's none of that stuff, right? Except I could see a world where if there was a real, genuine investment in local filmmakers and local talent and local creatives, I could see a way that you could promote that and market that as leading
Yeah.
in the whole country.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a good point for us to like put a pin in it and kind of save that, because I think, we've talked a little bit in the past, but like there's some things that you've done on like the lobbying level to try and get some of that stuff
Yeah.
in there. And I think that it's a really important thing that I want to highlight. And I think, there's also people locally that I want to shout out and have them be a part of that conversation too, like just as kind of a wrapping up summary kind of thing here. This is all being recorded for the purpose of filling gaps in the documentary,
Yeah.
trying to do things a little bit of a different way, but as of right now, what I'm thinking is I want to have this as a podcast that we can put out in its entirety on the Dust Don't Settle YouTube and have it be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
I want it, and we can change the format.
Sure.
We can talk to, Jeanette about Dancing Through the Darkness and all the crazy stuff that we had to do on set for that.
Yeah.
I want to talk to people like Sherry and Frank and, all these people who are part of the government or were part of the government for a long time or dealing with, losing union work, all that stuff. I think there's a lot more story to tell than we can really say in the documentary, and I think that that's a really cool way for Dust Don't Settle to continue on. So
yeah, I think I'm all about it. I need more beers.
Yeah.
I need more beers, and I need and like in the evening, like I'm a little bit looser in the it's like right now I got to like deal with like the 7 million emails that are coming my way and texts and whatever, right? So like my brain is just
huge
like
amounts of technical difficulties to get this recording
all
done.
this stuff, right? But like in the evening, like that's like something that I'm super down to do. And also like you're right, there's a lot of stories. I think, the one thing I've noticed about local podcasts is they don't edit them enough. They don't
Yeah.
layer in the music. They don't, I don't know. To me, it would be really nice to have like something a little bit more like polished and almost like investigative journalist style approach,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Than just like an unfiltered, like unedited conversation. I mean, for me, like because I think the story is like, the story in some ways deserves that, especially what I think will be kind of our journey going forward, and like what I see as our journey going forward. So to be able to maybe even document that,
Yeah.
I think would be really interesting.
Yeah, because that's something that has been running behind the scenes of this doc that we, for multiple reasons, didn't cover or couldn't cover. Especially in regards to like some of the things that have been going on with Dust Wave and all that. And I think that this is a good way, since that stuff is in the past, and from an artistic perspective, I want the documentary to feel more present. I think that this is a good way to kind of talk about that stuff and really dig into what we feel like is the way forward for, not just Dust Wave, but for the New Mexico DIY filmmaking scene.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think there are just, I don't know. I mean, like we said a million times, there are a lot of people, not just in New Mexico, who are doing this exact kind of filmmaking, but without some of the same organization, right?
Yeah.
And I think I think that there is I think that there's a future in it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
personally, I do. I don't think that that future, if I think if you're going into it with the expectation of, this is going to get me discovered, this is going to get me the next, like, A24 movie, like,
There are
that's
people,
the,
yeah,
yeah,
that
there are definitely people. And
I mean, it's fine. Look, man, everyone has their own dreams.
yeah,
I don't have dreams of I don't have dreams of I don't have those dreams. And everyone has different dreams, and that's totally fine. And I'm not saying they can't do them. You have to be a little bit delusional. And some people can do them, and that's cool. I mean, look, uh, I know Ari Aster. He was
Ari Aster, local guy.
right, yeah, local guy, made it happen, and had a lot of help along the way, but made it happen. So it's not impossible. There's other filmmakers that have been big names and all that stuff. It's not impossible. I don't particularly have those dreams. If stuff like that comes in some sort of way that is a way that we can do more stuff and on our terms and independent, then that's great. But I don't have those dreams. And um, also, I don't love all of his movies, but Ari Aster's special.
Yeah. No,
He's
for
a
sure.
Can I curse?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
He's a special he's a special motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's a special motherfucker. So like, let's not pretend like everyone is a special motherfucker, because that's not true. Um, you could ask me, do I think I'm a special motherfucker? In some ways, yeah. In other ways, no, I'm disastrously bad. But in some ways, yeah, I do think, yeah, I've done some stuff here in the last 11 years. So, but not everyone's gonna get, very few, and on a personal level, that's not my dream. I think part of it is just I'm not from here.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people from here, they aspire to not be here. And I'm not from here, but I aspire to be here and make here beautiful and joyous and special. That's my perspective on it. And I'm here to build.
Yeah.
Uh, Other people, I don't know, they're here to leave. They're here to leave, and or they're here to take advantage of what we got here until it becomes not so useful or interesting for them, and then they leave.
Yeah.
Whatever. I try to avoid those people. I try to ignore those people. I'm not impressed by them, and I will never be.
Yeah.
So it's just about convincing everyone in New Mexico, like, just don't be impressed. Like, there are some genuinely cool people from out of state, of course, and those people should be welcomed with open arms, because they aren't coming here to colonize. They're coming here to learn and grow and make the place better. Right? That's
Yeah.
cool. I've considered myself one of those people. That said, it's a lot of people that come here to exploit, take advantage, and yeah, no, we should just ignore those people and acknowledge them for the losers that they are.
Yeah. And what I will say to that point is, like, definitely, the exploiters, the people who are trying to, like, milk something out of this, I think you're approaching it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I had the choice between working with you and not working with you, like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But that said, I do think that the spirit of the DIY filmmaking, I think that there is room for people who want to come here and build things like us,
Mm-hmm.
people who want to get out of here and start something else somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
and even people who come here or came out of here and want to use it as a stepping stone, assuming that you're doing it with respect and love and doing it. I think your path, probably, if you're trying to use the New Mexico indie film scene as a stepping stone to a bigger career, I think you have a long way to go and a hard path forward. But if you're dedicated to doing it and you're going to, raise people up along with you, then I say more power to you. And
Sure.
and those are the kinds of people that I think like that is who the DIY filmmaking, like that's what this is for.
Yeah.
Because I want people to get what they want out of it, but I also want people to understand, like, people like us, we are coming at this with an intention.
Yeah.
Because this is the place that we found to be the right place for us.
Yeah.
And we want to build it up.
Yeah.
And we want to make it be, in a lot of ways, like, I don't know, my kind of vision is I want it to be the thing that I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I respect your position. I would say I slightly disagree. Like the way I feel about the people that want to leave is great. Go.
Oh, I encourage it. Yeah, for sure.
Go. Stop wasting our time and go go somewhere else. That's fine. Go. I encourage people to leave. And actually, I would encourage like native New Mexicans to, if it's not permanently, go out and see the world a little bit and live in the rest of the world a little bit if you can, even if it's like a summer or whatever. Yeah,
even if you're not filmmaking while you're
right.
out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to travel. It's good to see the world, right? It's good to expand your mind. I think all that's positive. But I mean, for the people that are just like, I just want like if Hollywood would just notice me and whatever, just go.
Yeah.
Just go. Get out of here. Stop wasting our time. And then for the people that want to use this place as a stepping stone, go somewhere else. Just go somewhere else.
Like I said, I think you're a little bit delusional if you think that this is a good stepping stone.
Just go somewhere. There's easier. Not only are there easier stepping stones, but also like, I don't want. No. Just go. If you're not here to build and if you're just here to colonize, right? If you're not here to build and build with people and learn from people and be humble, if you're just here to show off how cool and awesome and New York or LA you are, just don't even bother coming. Just don't come. Just go somewhere else. There's so many places to go in the world. Just go somewhere else.
Hey, really good indie movements out in Texas.
Yeah, go to Texas. Annoy them. Annoy them. That's fine. Go there. They could use
go West Texas and it's almost the same.
Yeah, they could use more annoyance out there. Yeah, go there or go to California or I don't know, go to Canada. Yeah. It's cold there.
Yeah.
But or whatever, right? Like there's so many places. Louisiana, Georgia. Right? I think they have the same problem we do.
Georgia has it's got some
I think the same problem we do. Yeah. Go there. Don't
Well, because that's the thing. That's it's another kind of key thing is like this, just because like right now, we live in New Mexico and this is the way we're doing things. And I think to a certain extent, we've talked about off mic, obviously, but like we've talked about how we don't think that the way Dustwave does things really works in other places other than New Mexico. Yeah. But that said, the broader idea of DIY filmmaking is already happening. And I don't see any reason why there is any other place that can't build it up in a way that is unique to them and makes it special. Because, I'm not going to go too deep into it because I've got my own personal philosophies, but I think that there is room for micro cinema movement that is hyper local. Absolutely. And that's where like you're driving economic impact in a small way.
If people watch the doc and at the end they're like, I need to come to New Mexico. Okay, here's my little flow chart for you. Okay. Number one, are you coming here to build and meet people where they are and be with people and lift people up?
And a core part of that is creating things for the sake of making them.
Right.
Not necessarily getting them seen.
Right. If you're coming here with that spirit and you're coming here and you're humble, right? And you're willing to learn, right? Because since I've been here, I've learned a lot, not just about New Mexico, but about life. if you're coming here with that spirit and that attitude, and you're not coming here to colonize, by all means, come on down. Help us build this thing out here. I would just say also, you don't need to come here. Like, if you're in a small town or build for you there. You can do it there. You can totally do it there. If there's nothing there, you can build it. You can be the first one to put the flag and say, hey, this is our scene here. And that's just as special and just as amazing and just as wonderful. I mean, and I think anyone really that is persistent and has a vision can do it. If you're about your own ego, that's the arching branch, and if you're about you, go be about you, just not here.
Yeah. And just to kind of loop it back to something that we were talking about kind of from the very beginning, as a kind of nice little tie-in to wrap it up, because I gotta go. If you are coming here with that intention of using it as a building block, using it as a stepping stone, whatever, and you are not coming here to meet people where they're at, what you're gonna find is that scarcity mentality is not going to work in your favor.
Not going to work in your favor.
Because people here are going to hoard the resources that they have. You might be able to fool them for a little bit.
Yeah.
But eventually. They are going to realize that you are trying to take from them, and the desert people are going to.
I've been fooled. I've been fooled by them. I'm not going to pretend like I haven't. I've been fooled by some of them. I've definitely become a lot harder in my attitudes to them. I'm immediately very, very skeptical now, more so than ever. It's funny. It's like you leave over there, and then you come out here, and then one thing about being over there, right, is your bullshit meters, your bullshit detector is high. It's developed, it's strong, just over time. It's like you live out there, and like there's all kinds of people trying to take advantage of you, and you have to develop that, right? You come out here, you get a little soft, and then you forget. But then those people come here, and then they remind you. Oh yeah.
That's the status quo.
Oh right, that's right.
Yeah, because you came from New York and Philly.
Yeah.
And I came from Massachusetts, New Hampshire area.
Yeah.
And then I was in LA for a long time.
Right, even better.
So like I definitely like came in, and I was like, I was naive in a certain way of like, oh, I can kind of let my guard down here a little bit. I can be, and we'll talk about it at some point, I'm sure. But like I learned some things about people here and about what people do and how they do it, and you have to learn those lessons, and you have to understand that like there is a responsibility, I think, especially people like us who are coming, who have been in those like really aggressive environments like LA and New York especially, but like we do have to understand to a certain extent that we can come in and exert the wrong kind of pressure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. And also, there's that built-in inferiority complex. I'll keep this very short because I know you got to go. But when I was first starting my consulting company, we didn't know what we were doing, and so I was like literally walking down Central, walking in places and saying, "Hey, we build websites," or whatever, right? Like stuff like that, right? And I remember talking to someone. I'm not gonna say who it is, but we came in and I had my whole spiel, and they said, "Are you from New Mexico?" And I said, and I initially thought, oh, maybe this is like kind of like a homer or whatever. And I was like, well, no, I mean, I've been here for a couple of years, but I'm originally from Peru, and then the East Coast, basically lived my whole life. And he was like, good. Right? That was the first time it was right up in my face, that inferiority complex of like nothing good can come from here. Which maybe that played into my favor when we were first starting out. Maybe that did. But I think that's ugly.
Yeah.
I think
something we wholeheartedly push against.
I think that's
there are really amazing things.
There are so many amazing things. I think it's really an ugly kind of mentality and attitude. And I hope, to like my fellow New Mexicans that like are watching this doc, um, don't be like that.
Yeah.
Don't be like that. Have pride. Have pride in where you're from. Have pride in how you grew up because it makes you who you are. Like I don't regret my upbringing and my background for 1 second. It is determined in many ways, like who I am and what I stand for and what I'm about. I don't regret any of it, and neither should you.
Right.
What you have here is very special. Don't be entranced by these losers from
Yeah.
from other places. What you have is very special. It doesn't mean you can't learn from other people. It doesn't mean you can't work with other people. I just the inferiority complex. It's just poison. It's
Yeah.
just poison, and enough's enough. There's enough evidence of all the things we do out here and all the stuff we have out here. Just stop that nonsense.
Yeah. Which now the funny thing is we've self-sabotaged ourselves. We've identified ourselves as not originally from here.
Yeah.
Now no one's going to work with us.
Yeah.
But hey.
All right, I gotta go.
Yeah, we're going. But yeah, this was fun. And
I'm happy to do it any time, especially especially in the evening.
Yeah.
And especially especially with at least one beer in the situation.
Yeah, and I think we're probably I'm excited to bring more people on too. I think that'll be a good way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Expand
Yeah.
the conversation.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, I mean,
can't wait.
like I said, we're gonna do more. We still have plenty of other things that we want to talk about.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right. Cool.
All right. I hope that was productive. Good.